Ella Torres had always known how to disappear. Back in Texas, she'd learned that silence was safer than speaking up, and that looking down at your shoes could hide the worry on your face. When her parents split and sent her to live with her aunt in Chicago, she thought maybe here she could start fresh, blend in without anyone noticing she was different. But Jefferson High didn't care how hard she tried to fade away. Her thrift store dresses and the slight twang in her voice made her a target before she even found her locker. She didn't tell her aunt how the kids snickered in the cafeteria or how the girls in the back row would flick balled-up paper at her hair when the teacher turned to the board. Ella just came home, did her homework at the kitchen table, then dragged a blanket out to her aunt's cold garage where the old concrete floor became her training ground. Her father had taught her karate from the time she could stand on her own 2 feet. At first, it was a game they played in their tiny living room, soft blocks and gentle taps. But over the years, it became discipline and drills, each move repeated until her body could react before her mind had time to be afraid. After the divorce, when she needed to feel strong, she'd slip into her oldest sweatpants and work through her katas until sweat dripped from her hair and her fear felt smaller. She promised her dad she wouldn't let herself be pushed around, not forever. But inside the school's bright hallways, under the weight of other people's eyes, promises could feel paper-thin. It was Friday when it all snapped. The bell had rung for last period, and students flooded the halls like a tide of noise and gossip. Ella had ducked into the bathroom to fix a loose button on the back of her dress, a pale yellow thing she'd found at Goodwill, one that made her feel pretty even if no one else thought so. She didn't see the 3 girls waiting for her by the door when she stepped back into the hallway. Brittany led the pack. Everyone knew Brittany. Her father owned half the car lots in town, and her smile could flip cold in a second. Brittany and her friends liked easy prey. New girls in second-hand dresses were as easy as it got. They didn't say much at first. Just stepped in front of her, trapping her near the lockers, with the crowd moving around them like a river split by rocks. Brittany's fake smile stretched wide as she asked where Ella got her grandma curtain dress. Ella felt her throat tighten, but she stayed quiet. She hugged her books tighter to her chest. One of Brittany's friends circled behind her, giggling loud enough for people passing by to stop and stare. Ella's cheeks burned. She tried to step aside, but Brittany's hand shot out, pinching the fabric at her shoulder. The sound of ripping cloth cut through the hallway chatter like a shout. The seams split wide open near her back. Laughter sparked. Phones came out. Ella felt the sting of tears behind her eyes, but she refused to let them see her cry. Her father's words flickered in her mind. Don't show fear when they want it most. She breathed in and held her ground. Ella stood there, clutching her torn dress at the shoulder, hearing the echo of giggles and the hum of phones recording her shame. Brittany's grin widened as she stepped closer, lowering her voice just enough so only Ella could hear. She told her maybe next time she'd wear real clothes. Maybe next time she wouldn't think she was better than everyone just because she kept her nose in a book. Ella's chest tightened, but her feet stayed planted. She thought about her father's rough palms guiding her tiny fists when she was 7, his voice calm and patient, even when she cried that she was too small to stand up to the boys who teased her on the playground. "You're small, Ella," he'd said, "but small doesn't mean weak. It means fast, it means smart, it means ready when they expect you to fold." Brittany gave the torn fabric another tug, and Ella felt the rip crawl down her side. Something snapped inside her sharper than the sound of stitches popping. She let her books drop to the floor with a soft thud that made Brittany flinch for just a breath. Ella took a step back, squared her feet on the tile, knees soft, hands loose by her sides. She looked Brittany dead in the eyes. A hush fell around them as kids lowered their phones, sensing something was about to shift. Brittany barked a laugh and shoved her shoulder toward Ella to finish the humiliation. But Ella's body moved before her head could doubt. She caught Brittany's wrist mid-swing, turning her own shoulder into the force, pulling Brittany off balance with the same pivot she'd practiced in her aunt's garage hundreds of times. Brittany gasped as Ella's grip locked her arm and guided it down fast. Ella's other hand, open and strong, came down in a sharp chop to Brittany's side just under her ribs. The breath whooshed out of Brittany's lungs like air from a balloon. Her legs buckled. The hallway that once sounded like a carnival of cruelty turned pin-drop silent as Brittany collapsed onto her knees, wheezing for air, one hand clawing at her hoodie like it might save her from the floor. The other two girls stared, eyes wide, frozen in place like kids caught stealing candy. Ella didn't yell, didn't threaten. She didn't have to. She straightened her torn dress as best she could, picked her books up off the tiles, and told Brittany's friends they could help her up or join her on the ground. Their choice. Neither girl moved until a teacher's voice cut through the shocked hush, demanding answers no one was brave enough to give. Ella didn't wait to hear excuses. She walked down the hallway past rows of staring faces, her heart thudding so loud she felt it in her fingertips. She knew whispers would follow her now, but they'd be different. This time people would remember the quiet girl who didn't back down. Outside the building, the spring air felt fresh and sharp on her skin. She tugged her torn dress around her shoulders and smiled at the thought of her father's voice, whispering, "I told you, small doesn't mean weak." She walked home alone, but for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel small at all.